Wilhelm Wundt was a German philosopher and psychologist. He is often called the father of experimental psychology. In 1879, he established the first laboratory dedicated to psychological research in Leipzig, marking the birth of modern scientific psychology. He focused on consciousness and sought to analyze mental processes using controlled experiments. The German thinker used a method called introspection, where trained observers described their own sensations and thoughts under standardized conditions. He believed that psychological processes could be broken down into basic elements, like sensations and feelings, similar to how chemistry analyzes matter. Rather than focusing on applied topics, Wundt wanted psychology to study the structure of the mind scientifically. Even though introspection as an effective method has since been questioned, his emphasis on laboratory experiments and measurable data laid the foundation for much of modern psychology. Franz Brentano was a German philosopher and psychologist known for introducing the concept of intentionality into modern psychology. The theory of intentionality asserts that all mental acts are intentional, that is, directed towards something. Every thought, perception, or emotion is about an object or content. The German thinker was also interested in ethics. According to him, something is good if and only if it is worthy of love, and something is bad if and only if it is correct to hate it. This can perhaps be interpreted as an early version of the so-called fitting attitude theory for values. His ideas influenced major thinkers such as Husserl and Freud, and helped shift psychology toward the study of mental processes as purposeful and meaningful, not just mechanical or physiological. William James was an American psychologist and philosopher, and one of the founders of pragmatism. He emphasized the practical consequences of beliefs and defended a kind of pragmatic theory of truth. He thought our beliefs are part of a living process. Emotions, will, and subjective experiences matter in shaping what we call truth. A propositional attitude is true just in case it proves itself useful in the long run, according to him. James famously defended the right to believe in certain ideas, even without conclusive evidence, if doing so helps us live meaningfully. His pluralistic worldview embraced uncertainty and complexity. Instead of a rigid, mechanical universe, James envisioned an open world, still in formation. His ideas influenced psychology, philosophy of religion, ethics, and philosophy of mind, emphasizing human freedom, the will, and the power of personal commitment. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian physiologist. He is perhaps best known for his discovery of classical conditioning. While studying digestion in dogs, he noticed that they would start salivating not only at the sight of food, but also at the sound of a bell associated with feeding. From this, he concluded that animals can learn to associate a neutral stimulus with a meaningful one. In classical conditioning, an unconditioned stimulus, for example food, naturally produces an unconditioned response, for example salivation. When a neutral stimulus, for example the sound of a bell, is repeatedly paired with the unconditioned stimulus, it becomes a conditioned stimulus and produces a conditioned response. The Russian scientist's work helped lay the foundation for behaviorism, a school of psychology that emphasized observable behaviors over internal mental states. His research showed that behavior could be predicted and shaped through learning, influencing psychology, philosophy, education, and behavioral therapy. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist and psychologist. He was the founder of psychoanalysis, a theory of mind and a method for treating psychological problems. Freud believed that human behavior is largely driven by unconscious desires, conflicts, and memories, especially those rooted in childhood experiences. He proposed that the mind is structured into three parts: the id, which includes instinctual drives, the ego, the rational self, and the superego, the moral part, that is, the conscience and the ego, ideal. When these parts conflict, individuals experience anxiety and may use defense mechanisms such as repression or denial. Freud also developed therapeutic methods like free association and dream analysis to uncover hidden thoughts. Though many of his ideas are controversial and debated today, Freud revolutionized our understanding of the mind and introduced concepts like the unconscious, defense mechanisms, and psychological development that remain influential across psychology, philosophy, literature, and culture. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist who expanded psychoanalysis with his own school called analytical psychology. While Freudian theory focused on personal unconscious desires, Jung emphasized the collective unconscious, a deeper layer of archetypes inherited across humanity. These archetypes show up in myths, dreams, symbols, and cultural patterns, according to him. Jung introduced key concepts such as the persona, our social mask, the shadow, the dark side of the psyche, for example, various repressed aspects, the anima and the animus, the inner feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche, and the self. He also talked about the process of individuation, a lifelong journey of integrating all parts of the psyche to become whole. The Swiss psychologist popularized the idea of introversion and extroversion as personality orientations. Jung's ideas influenced not only psychology and psychotherapy, but also art, religion, literature, and popular culture, offering a symbolic view of the psyche that continues to resonate in both therapy and society at large. Kurt Lewin was a German-American psychologist. He is often considered the father of social psychology. He focused on how human behavior is shaped by both the individual and their environment, summarized in his formula B equals F of PE, that is, behavior is a function of the person and environment. The German-American psychologist developed the concept of field theory, which views individuals as part of dynamic fields of forces that influence behavior. The life space is the totality of facts that determine the behavior of an individual at a certain moment. He also pioneered research on group dynamics, leadership styles, and organizational change. His work laid the foundation for modern experiments in social behavior and applied psychology, including action research, which connects theory directly to real-world problem-solving. The German-American psychologist's ideas still guide many approaches in social psychology, education, management, and organizational development. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist who revolutionized our understanding of child development. He proposed that children are not miniature adults but go through stages of cognitive development, each with distinct ways of thinking and reasoning. His four-stage model begins with the sensory-motor stage, 0 to 2 years, where infants learn through movement and senses. It progresses through pre-operational 2 to 7 years, concrete operational 7 to 11 years, and formal operational 12 years and older, where abstract thinking becomes possible. The Swiss psychologist emphasized that learning happens through active exploration and the processes of assimilation and accommodation, where children adjust their mental frameworks as they encounter new experiences. His work helped transform developmental psychology and education by highlighting how effective teaching must match a child's developmental level. B.F. Skinner was an American psychologist. He was a leading figure in behaviorism and is known for developing the theory of operant conditioning, which focuses on how behavior is shaped by its consequences. Skinner argued that behavior could be strengthened through reinforcement or weakened through punishment. Using devices like the Skinner box, he studied how animals learn to perform actions to receive rewards like food or avoid negative outcomes. He emphasized that internal mental states are less important than observable behavior and measurable outcomes. Skinner's ideas influenced experimental psychology, education, therapy, and even workplace management, promoting the use of positive reinforcement to encourage desired behaviors. Though his approach is sometimes criticized as too mechanistic, Skinner helped establish psychology as a science grounded in observable and measurable phenomena. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist. He offered a humanistic alternative to behaviorism and psychoanalysis. He believed that humans are driven by a desire to grow, improve, and fulfill their potential, not just by reflexes and various instincts. Maslow is perhaps most famous for his hierarchy of needs, a pyramid starting with basic physiological needs, then safety, love and belonging, esteem, and finally, self-actualization at the top, which involves becoming the best version of oneself. He believed people cannot achieve higher goals if their basic needs remain unmet. Maslow's humanistic psychology emphasized positive experiences and qualities like creativity, purpose and meaning, peak experiences, inner growth, and self-actualization. He helped shift psychology towards studying well-being and human potential, influencing so-called positive psychology, education, management, and the modern focus on mental health and happiness.